if you're just starting in Upwork, in this video I'm going to share 3 tips you can use when you're writing your cover letters and when you're applying for jobs in Upwork. If this is the first time you're watching one of my videos, my name is Felipe, I'm a top-rated plus freelancer in Upwork. I have made more than $100,000 so far, and I started from scratch. I started from zero as everyone else, so the tips I'm going to share with you in this video are things I personally did when I started working in Upwork, and these are things that have helped me to get my first jobs in Upwork. So let's start with it, and the way I'm going to share these tips is by walking you through this job proposal I did a few years ago. This is from February 10, 2019, so this is from 3 years ago, and this was one of the first jobs I applied in Upwork. The first tip I have for everyone who is just starting in Upwork is don't focus on the money. I mean, don't focus on making money. If you joined Upwork, if you're a freelancer in Upwork, I'm sure your goal is to make money in the future, is to make a lot of money, and I think that makes perfect sense. That's what we all want to do in Upwork, but there are going to be chances to do that in the future. There are going to be many opportunities to make a lot of money, but if you're just starting, my thoughts are that this is not the time to focus on making money. Making money should not be a priority if you are just starting in Upwork. For example, in this proposal, this was the client budget, only $250 US, and this was my bid on this project, which was even less than that. It was $225, and from this I got $180. So you can see that I didn't really make a lot of money with this project. I made less than $200, and it wasn't a huge project, but I will say it took me around 30 hours. It took me around 30 hours to complete this project. So I worked for 30 hours and I only got $180. This is what I mean that making money should not be a priority in the beginning. It should not be a priority when you're just starting. The second tip I have for you is that every time I sent a cover letter when I was just starting, when I was a rising talent in Upwork, I always included a paragraph that looked like this. And it basically says, as you can see in my profile, I'm an Upwork rising talent. That means I'm beginning my freelance career and I'm very interested in growing in the Upwork community. You can benefit from this situation and hire a great data scientist for a low fee. And then it's like the smiley face. It's not even the smiley face, it's the other face, the wink face. I don't know how to call it. So basically I'm explaining to the client that I'm just starting in Upwork, but not only I'm starting in Upwork, that I'm beginning my freelance career in Upwork, and that my goal is to grow this freelance career. So basically I'm explaining this client why I have absolutely no previous experience in Upwork, and that's because I am just starting. But this is not like a side project. This is not something I'm going to do once in a while. This is not going to be a one-time only project, but I am here to grow my freelance career. That's basically what I'm saying in this paragraph. And I'm also telling my client how he or she could benefit from this situation by hiring an amazing professional by a low fee. And that's super important because when you are writing a cover letter, you always have to think about what you are giving to the client. Why will the client benefit from hiring you? So this is exactly what I'm saying in this paragraph. I am just starting in Upwork, so this is why I have no previous feedbacks, or I have only a few previous feedbacks, and this is how you can benefit from this situation. You can hire an amazing professional, you can hire a great data scientist in this case, for a very low fee. And I think that adding this paragraph to absolutely all the cover letters I sent while I was a rising talent definitely helped me to get my first jobs in Upwork. So this was my second tip. And then my third tip, my third recommendation to anyone who is just starting in Upwork is to write like a super detailed, super careful, and to try super hard to write like an amazing cover letter. This is something you have to do always, no matter if you're just starting or if you are a more experienced freelancer with more Upwork experience. This is something you always have to do. But once you have enough experience, once you have worked in a few projects and you have some reputation, you have some feedbacks, your previous feedbacks are going to speak by themselves, right? You still have to write like a very detailed cover letter, that's for sure. But I would say that this is especially important at first, because at first, when you're just starting, you have a completely empty profile. I mean, your profile, it's only your picture, your title, some description, maybe some portfolio items, but it's like it doesn't really have the feedbacks, which is like the most appealing thing in any profile. So if you are sending an application and you have like a completely empty, completely new profile, then you have to try super hard to convince your client with the cover letter. And the way you do it, the way I did it, and the way I would recommend anyone else to do it, is writing your cover letter trying to convince the client to hire you. I mean, you really have to think in the client while you are writing the cover letter. And the way you are going to convince the client is going to depend on the specific project you're applying to. In my case, I'm a software developer and I work in the fields of machine learning, computer vision, data science. So the way I usually convince my clients to hire me, it's by explaining exactly what am I going to do, explaining exactly what is going to be my approach. This is something I can do because the projects I apply to are highly technical, and also especially in this case, the client not only requested for a cover letter, but he also wanted the freelancers to answer these 2 questions. Please describe your planned approach and please describe your experience using hierarchical clustering. This question I think it's okay. I think I wrote a few paragraphs and I think it makes sense. I don't think it's a great explanation, but I think it makes sense. But if I take a look at this answer about my planned approach, I would say I really tried super hard to write like a very detailed approach so I could convince the client that I am going to do a good job, that I know what needs to be done in order to solve this problem. And although it may seem that it's only like a few paragraphs and it may seem that it's not really a lot, trust me that it took me some time to really think about what is a good approach and to organize and structure all of my thoughts and all of my ideas and all of my everything, and to make everything sound the way it has to sound in order to convince my client. So that's going to be all for today. If you like this video, I invite you to click the like button. I also invite you to subscribe to my channel. And if you want to give me your thoughts about what you think about this video, I will be super happy to read them in the comments below. This is going to be all for today, and see you on the next video.